Incoming long rant / ramble. Welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus. It's the crappy middle of the week, so I thought what better time to rave and rant about what's been in the news and what hasn't been in the news but should have been in the news. Maybe you should look at this as like a mega mix of all the stuff that I've talked about before and plenty of stuff that I probably haven't talked about before but that is relevant to the main core of what I'm going to try and tell you. So sit your bad self down and I will tell you some things and bits and bobs that I've picked up. So I should probably say right now, if you don't give a shit about me, this is going to bore the hell out of you. So navigate away now and watch something that will interest you. I'm going to be talking a lot about my background so you can get to know a bit about me. So, I've said a few times I've got a disability. I had my bowel removed. I have a stoma that I have to fucking deal with. It's so annoying. And the reason I think that happened to me, although I can't prove it, is I did veganism, really, really strict, perfect veganism for 3 years. I used to be a somewhat semi-good animal rights campaigner back in the day, and that led me to veganism. So that's caused me a lot of problems, though, as I've got older. Really has. Like, I can't eat certain foods, I'm very physically limited. Bearing in mind I used to like sort of bungee jumping and shooting and running and fighting and all this kind of stuff. That's all cut off to me now because of veganism. But I don't necessarily have a problem with the actual diet. The problem I had with it is the ideology that came along with it. Really dangerous ideology. And though it's kind of morphed, it's changed a lot over the years, I see it in today's ideologies, all the nasty, shitty ones that you know. So if all of this sounds very familiar to you, I would suggest that possibly you've been idealised, the same as I had been, and you're affected by the ideology, so you should try and unpick it if you possibly can. Understand that these ideologies are written by people that don't use them. Exclusively. The guys that come out with this shit never apply it to themselves. It's more for promoting and controlling the ideas of the future. They know it's probably not going to affect them. For instance, veganism, when it was sold to me when I was very young, first of all they had to sell me the lie that food was going to run out. Then they had to tell me the lie that the atmosphere was ruined. And then they had to tell me the lie that it was because of me, my family, my nation, my desires, my culture, even my sexuality. This was the cause of all of the bad stuff that was happening. So obviously the moral imperative was upon me to rebel and bring this horrible system that I caused down. Now, bearing in mind, I was like 14, 15 when I started to believe this crap, so that's exactly what I see happening today. The only difference is now we have the internet, AI, and 20, 30 years of practice of really polishing these ideological reviews. It's so easy to get done by them if you're young today, so something we all need to be more aware of. Loads of famous people do it all the time. Everyone who is popular all have ideologies and they're spraying it all over us all the flipping time. In fact, you know what I think? Ideologies is like having a really big penis. Great, I'm really pleased for you, but please stop waving it in my fucking face. That's how I feel about it. But I'm a hypocrite because I'm a Christian. Christianity is an ideology, although I think it's a really valuable, it's a precious ideology. It's the thing that saved my life, certainly, and the thing that I think could possibly save the world in some way at some point in time. But for now, it's an ideology, so, you know, it makes me look like a bit of a fool if I don't mention that. I suppose the difference is my ideology is a voluntary one. There's no teeth to pay. There's no punishment for apostasy or saying the wrong thing, or, you know, if you want to be something else, it's cool. I think that's the defining factor of Christianity amongst all the world religions, and people don't give it enough credit for that. Whatever's happened in the past, nobody can with conviction or any aggression convince me that Christianity is not the most open and accepting and most democratic and most non-discriminatory faith that there is. Because it's based on forgiveness. It's like it doesn't really matter what you do. Everything you do can be forgiven by God to begin with. And that means anyone who's committed to God has to offer that level of forgiveness, even to their worst enemy. I really struggle with it myself. You know, like I keep moaning about my idiot fucking criminal moron neighbour that I moan about. But that's the reason I moan about him. It's because I have to reserve 1% of myself to actually forgive this guy and at some point shake his hand and say, oh, bygones are bygones. So, bearing in mind what he's been like recently, it's a tough thing to do. So Christianity, even though I can't physically manage it now, Christianity gives me that to aim for and hopefully will encourage me to do it in future. Actually, you know what? Here's a little funny story. This is to cheer up all the people who are in their head going, oh, fucking Christian, he's Bible bashing. Let me tell you something. I was homeless for a little while, and I hadn't found God at this point. I was kind of searching for something. And I convinced myself that, if Jesus can really walk on water, then anyone could do it. So really, if I had enough faith in being able to walk along water, if I thought about it enough, I could do it. And sure enough, 2 or 3 times I did successfully walk on water for about a millisecond and then plonked straight through and sank directly to the bottom. So a couple of smartphones went that way, but I soon learned and found out that if Christ ever did walk on water, it wasn't something I could physically repeat. So it was the moral imperative. It was like the allegory of walking on water. What that was saying is if you have faith in yourself, you can do amazing things that seem impossible. The water you will walk over is a chaotic, turbulent whirlpool of problems. It isn't physically water. So Christ could walk on water through the power of God, and you will be able to walk over your problems through the power of Christ. That's how it goes. The mountains you command will be men, or women, or Pikachus. Let us not forget the humble Pikachus. You're probably thinking to yourself, how the hell did a guy who's witty and not mad and not stupid come to that conclusion? And it's just because I was lost. I was a young person. I believed in my idols, my famous people, my musicians or whatever. And then one by one, they all turned out to be false idols. They all let me down 100% of the time. And then I became homeless. The people I knew let me down, and everyone let me down. And at that point, when you're facing death, homelessness, disease, loneliness, depression, and bad health, you're fucked. Guess what? The only person who's going to listen to you at that point is God. So it's a good job you don't need to actually vocalize. You can just silently pray. And that's exactly why I struggled for so long, because I was looking for the super idol personality, the ultimate leader. And I realized he's dead. Truly. That he's not here. I can't meet the guy. He's in another place now. So, I have to recreate him. I have to become the second coming of that dude and then enforce that over myself. And that's the true self. So, it's sad. I see all these people on TV collecting popularity and people furiously following them and defending their valor. It's stolen valor. They're just repeating empty platitudes or convincing sayings they picked up from other people, or sometimes they're, like 2% witty and they made them up themselves. But ultimately, they're just, none of them are going to lead you to the promised lands, are they? Like, at least Christ gives you a shot at leading yourself to the promised lands, making your life worthwhile and have a purpose to it. These guys, even good ones, like I said before, Jordan Peterson, he's a good guy, and I honestly believe that he's just misled when he's saying, vote for this guy, vote for that guy. It's not... time will tell whether that's right or not, but the point is, you don't need to be led by these guys, Be innocent as a sheep, yes, but be wise as wolves. What that means is, doesn't mean run in packs and eat the small ones, no. Wise as wolves mean you don't go looking for trouble, and you make yourself scarce when trouble's looking for you. But at the end of the day, if you're backed into a corner, you will fight, you'll stick up for yourself, and you won't let errant authorities or corrupt politicians or anyone, you won't let anyone step on you, because you'll know the righteousness of morality, the grace, the holiness of God, that is what that is, morality, love, will be with you. And I can testify it actually does work that way. And the proof of it is, 15 years ago, if I'd have had a neighbour like I do now, constantly harassing me, stealing things, breaking things, cost me a fortune, ruining my reputation with lies, and just generally being a pain in the arse. 15 years ago, I would have smashed the shit out of that guy, really badly. But now, through hook or through crook, half because I'm disabled and less able now, I can't just do the whole slapping with the glove and face-to-face combat thing. I would clearly lose that. There's no way. Now, that's enough to make anyone feel like a pathetic victim, especially a man, especially a previously successful athletic man who considered himself a little bit of a tough guy. So it's a bit of a climb down. So without Christ and the teachings I got from the Bible, I'd be in a world of trouble. I would consider myself victimised by a thing I could never change that wasn't anyone's particular fault but my own. And that can only lead one way. That ideology is going to send a guy like that, me at that point, straight down to the depths of depression. And as you know, there's two types of depressed people. There's angry depressed and there's sad depressed. And either one of them could be just as destructive as the other. So a sad person or an angry person can hurt someone else, or they can hurt themselves just as easily. And you always think it's not going to be you. It's not going to be anyone you know. It only happens to other people. You know, the guys you see on the news. But no, because of the internet and everything else, the modern lifestyle, everyone is vulnerable. And the people you would least expect are usually the most obviously affected ones. And this does not discriminate. I mean, just look at what's happening in the media. You've got guys like Philip Schofield, unnamed BBC presenter, and Jimmy Savile, these kind of people. Rolf Harris, famous people that thought they couldn't be touched. Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson, Drew Barrymore. Sorry, not Drew Barrymore, Michael Barrymore. There's millions of these guys. And so we come full circle. So thinking about the people I've just mentioned, the dirty perverts and the possible dirty perverts, or possibly innocent people. At the end of the day, the people close to them in their lives, parents, wives, children, these kind of people, will end up forgiving them if the forgiveness is warranted. You know, if it's really begged for and really sincerely wanted and desired, that can be enough to change a person from bad back to good. I truly believe that. And that's a part of the Christianity too. Not everyone can have hope for humans like that, you know. Yes, okay, there's certain people that can be written off that are just evil. But I mean, these are easily spotted, really. So when they're not easily spotted in society, you know there's something wrong. And the something is ideology. Passive, small-time, minor ideologies for most of the time. And for the rest of the time, the big, bad, evil ideologies. So, ladies, gents, Pikachus, and anyone else who wants to know, that's what we need to do. Tighten up on what we listen to, who we listen to, what we believe, what we repeat, how long we wait before we rashly act upon a piece of gossip or even a fact. And at the end of the day, when we find out who's good, bad or ugly and who's done wrong and who hasn't, if we expect the world to forgive us, we should be willing to do the same for it. And that's the end of this podcast. So I hope you enjoyed that and you have a wonderful day. And yeah, that's it. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Bye.